Why do you say that, Father? You aren't afraid, are you?
No, but I respect some of the superstitions of others. Often they are founded in fact.
This is your time. This is your call to arms. For the Cryptid Connection, it's your voice. I'm your host, J-Day.
And I'm your host, Steven. Welcome to Cryptid Connection. Let's get this chat started.
Stuff around you?
I have no fiddle stuff around me.
Okay. Get comfortable in your chair. Brandon, we really appreciate you redoing this. We're sorry. Because that was
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It really was gold. All right, here we go. Okay, and with us tonight, we've got
You
Brandon.
recording?
Damn.
I want to make sure you're recording.
Okay, with us tonight is Brandon Garrett. Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
We are surviving.
That we are.
I hear
It's been a
that.
long day.
Yeah. I hear it. Just don't touch the red button.
I will not. No, I've learned not to touch that red button at all.
For all you listeners out there, this is actually take number 2.
We managed to waste an entire hour and a half with Brandon earlier, and it was gold. It was an excellent interview. The problem is he sounds like he's in a box with an echo.
We don't.
How do you know I
want to
wasn't?
lose that too.
I know you do lots of things, but I know putting yourself in a box is not one of them.
No.
Anyway,
No.
let's get on this before. I mean, this is going to be terrible. All right, let's get up here, Brandon. You're kind of a well-known person in the. I'm going to say outside of Texas, but in the South. A lot of researchers and everything else have picked up your work over the years. You've been at it for a fairly long time, and you've been consistent. That's more than probably 90% of the people out there. A lot of most people get involved and they will put in a year, maybe 2, not really find anything, and then burn out. And now you've been hard-headed, I guess, because you've kept at this now for, what is it, 40 years?
Almost. That's 30-something years, yeah.
What drives your interest?
I guess you could say it's in my blood, I guess. It's just something I've always been kind of obsessed with.
If I remember right, and I try not to make the show about encounters and everything, but I do remember your first encounter. If it's what I'm remembering, it happened at like 6 years old or something. Did it not?
7.
7? Okay.
Yeah.
Most people don't have that kind of a nightmare to grow up with, and so that kind of explains your lifelong obsession, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah. That's when it was all
right.
Came to me hardcore right there.
Now, let's skip forward. You've been doing this most all of your adult life. I understand you've done some in Colorado, and then the other part in Texas, and then you've traveled a little bit in and there. But
right.
Your primary focus has always been Texas. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It's my home, so.
Alrighty.
Where I live, so it's the easiest.
Yeah. Do you notice a big difference between, say, Colorado and Texas? Different places you've been? What would be the a couple of big differences in regards to the research there?
Big differences.
Besides the food.
Oh, but yeah, definitely besides. and the beer's a little different too.
I mean,
no,
I'm thinking wildlife or terrain, maybe the types of creatures you're looking for.
yeah. On a serious note, yeah, yeah. Well, you got the habitat differences, and that's one thing that really makes a difference, I guess.
Right.
I don't know exactly how to say it, but
well, you're talking about more than just the obvious mountain versus flatland.
right.
You're talking completely different kinds of forest environments.
Right.
Different fauna.
Completely different ecosystems.
Yep.
Yeah. So in the different ecosystems, you have the different faunas and the different different adaptations that you got to take into consideration.
Such as?
Like in Colorado, places further, it can be colder than here.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
much colder, for much longer periods.
Exactly.
So you're looking for evidence in snow, perhaps, versus just a drive around.
I know, Brandon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Brandon's looking for anything in snow.
No.
Well,
no more than I have to.
In general,
I hate
the people
I hate the cold.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, finding tracks in snow up, somewhere else, finding tracks in mud here.
Right. All right.
But yeah, the whole animal and plant life can be different. You got different things to sustain them.
Right.
Whatever cryptid you're looking for. Be it Bigfoot, most likely. So, here, I've found over the years that they're eating deer and other things, but it seems in my predominant areas, I'm in swampy areas a lot, and, along rivers and that sort of thing. And I found one of the main, it seems to be the main protein source seems to be the feral hogs.
Oh, those are yummy.
Yeah, they are. There's such an abundance of them, and when you look at it, the easier the prey, the better the meal. I guess you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
The less calorie outtake to get the meal, the higher the calorie intake.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure in the colder regions, it's a higher calorie need for the
right.
creatures.
Yeah, you got not as many of the feral hogs, so you're not. In a lot of places you don't have any that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's some here and there in colder climates, but not real familiar with them.
Yeah.
More, I think deer, that sort of thing is going to be more prevalent as a food source, protein source than the feral pig. So here everybody's talking about, hey, deer tracks. Well, I'm looking at the feral pig tracks. you know what I mean?
Yes.
I think that's going to be that seems to, in my experience, it seems to be more of more like predominant prey.
Mm-hmm.
And same with, like the large cats and everything.
Do you think that the large cats are a food source for the Bigfoot?
And I think the pigs are a food source for the large cats.
Yes. I see.
So you see the cats and the Sasquatch as competitors.
I doubt they're too much of a competitor, but I mean, I'm sure they compete in some way. I haven't found any evidence where they're actual hardcore competitors, though. Not like the pigs to the deer would be.
Tell me,
And
in Southeast Texas, where you normally do your research at, what kind of an environment is that usually? I mean, for a lot of people, they may not have actually been in those kinds of woods or anything like that.
Predominantly pine forests, pine oak forests. A lot of water systems. There's swampy areas, a lot of swampy areas, river systems and everything.
Right.
Floodplains.
Do you notice any kind of a difference, and when I say difference, a possible preference for, let's say the hardwoods versus the pines, or I guess why I'm asking is because the actual biome that's in the pine forest, and in the pine forest out here, they're not the natural forest, they're the replants. They may be second, third, fourth generation, but they're the logged areas. The native tends to be the hardwoods, the hickory, the oak, the cypress, things like that are out here. Do you notice if there's a difference between them as far as activity?
In some cases, yeah. I've tend to find more evidence and have more interaction activity type things in the pine forests.
In the pine forests.
Yeah, and it's been my experience, and I think the reason why that is that like you said, none of it's all second and third growth, and the clear cuts and everything. Well, it's all fresher forbs.
Okay.
Which with all the fresher forbs brings in more stuff to consume those fresher forbs.
Sounds like you know what you're doing out there. You have a lot of experience. I've been wanting to do an edible hike with you because I've known that by some of the posts I've seen on social media, you've got it pretty down with the all natural cooking and different things. Like I bet you know your mushrooms and such like that.
I don't really mess with mushrooms, but I don't really mess with mushrooms, but
yeah, plant life. Do you find out in the field?
Yeah, it's yeah, I do a lot with edible plants and just general survival. I found that I can always find something to eat. Pretty much anywhere I'm at. So.
Pretty much where you're at? Now, you had an interesting story the first time we went around about not eating the right thing. Can you remember that story? Can you relate that to me?
Oh yeah. Always know what you're eating before you eat it.
That sounds
right.
Make
sure that, because there's a lot of things that one thing might be edible, and you have other things that look exactly alike that'll kill you. And you gotta know the difference between the two.
Yeah,
it could be just the tiniest little difference, and
you had corrected me one time on fiddlerhead on ferns. Because I had...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. And then you had an interesting poppy story.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The prickly poppies?
Yes.
Yeah. Husband and wife that I used to know back up in Colorado, they were wanting me to teach them a little bit about the plants and stuff. And I told him how to, told the husband, about prickly poppy that that you can use in preparation. Be used similar to like morphine. It has like an opiate quality. It's a poppy. Well, I found out later on that he was giving it to his kids to eat, and I was so mad. Surprised he didn't kill his kids.
Well, I'm sure something was looking out for him because that sounds kind of scary.
Yeah.
Always know what you're eating.
Right.
That brings up something that I was considering the other day. I meant to ask you this on this last one, and I didn't think of it. And I wanted to ask you this time because I wanted to see what you would say.
What was that?
What's the stupidest thing you've ever done in the woods?
The stupidest thing.
I'm serious. I mean, I was thinking about it. I think this is going to become a permanent question I'm going to ask everybody now, because we've all been in the woods. We've all had some situation, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't believe I did that.
That oopsie do
yeah,
thing.
There's an oopsie.
Right. Yeah, we've all been there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, what's the stupidest thing you're willing to admit?
That you're willing to share.
Oh. Let me see. Let me think about that for a minute here. Which one? Oh, I don't know. I remember one time I was going across. I knew better, but I was crossing a creek, and I didn't look where I was jumping to. I was just jumping across this creek. I should have looked to on the other side and make sure that it was clear. I ended up jumping across and hitting a wet log that was there. I knew it was there, but I wasn't paying attention, like, because I was stupid. I wasn't paying attention. Hit that log, and slipped and busted my butt.
Ow.
That was stupid. Surprised I didn't hurt break a leg or hurt myself anymore. But that was a stupid thing.
That's one I would put out there. Don't ever go out alone. But that's me. I'm a coward. I can't do that anyways.
Brandon is famous for going out alone. He will.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff alone.
It's nothing for him to just go out there, park his car, walk out 5 miles, stay out 2, 3, 5 days, maybe a week, and then come back. That's just your style. Yeah. So
right.
Do you prefer the long expeditions, to stay out a week and a half kind of thing, or do you like to just go out, since I am assuming you're fairly close to your research area since you live in the same state, do you like to just go like on a day trip?
Well, that depends. I prefer to go out and have some time, like a week or so. I mean, if I don't have time, then the day trip is fine. Whatever I have time for, but my preference is to be out there as long as I can.
Just get out there, right?
Right. Spend as much time out there as possible.
What kind of equipment do you prefer to take?
That depends on my location and how much I'm need to carry. Because a lot of equipment is a lot of weight. I always have my camera, my video camera, my POVs, voice recorder, digital stuff. And I just recently picked up a pair of sunglasses with a camera and video camera and microphone built into it.
I remember
I haven't got a
seeing
chance
those.
Yeah, you saw them. I haven't had
saw
a chance to use them yet.
You haven't? Oh my goodness! I
Yeah,
remember seeing those.
That sounds cool. Super smart
Yeah, they're
stuff.
pretty sweet.
I think it's
I've been taking them with me, but I haven't put them on yet.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
It is.
Now, if I remember right, the only thing they're limited on is total battery time or something. Am I correct?
Yeah. It doesn't have a very long. It's a rechargeable battery, so it doesn't have a very long record time. But
we need to figure out a way of hooking up an external battery to that, and so you can sit there and have them run for several hours.
We are talking about Gearhead here. He knows how to fix stuff like that.
That's
what you do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I got a couple ideas I want to run off you too. You might be interested in.
Fair enough.
But yeah, always got my knife. My machete. Always got a blade,
I know from just campfire stories that you're considered one of the bravest men out there.
I don't know.
And the reason being is because you never carry a firearm, and you go out alone. You'll spend days out in the woods with just a knife or a machete.
Right.
That is far beyond what most enthusiasts and researchers were willing to do. When they speak your name around campfires, I've heard more than one of them have kind of a reverent aura about that name. Man, I wish I could be like Brandon. Now, I do have one question.
What's that?
And I'm curious to know about this. And again, I go back to, I know this isn't necessarily, this show isn't about encounters, but there is something that may have been an encounter, I don't know, that I've been meaning to ask you in person, and I haven't. And if you don't want to go into it, that's fine. I can edit it out of this.
Cool.
But we have a mutual friend that I was talking to one time. He used to own a drone business, and he's a former Marine. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. He was telling me something about one time there was a point where he was, I think it was him you asked, but I'm not sure. But you had asked someone to go out and to accompany you to a certain area I guess it was to go retrieve some stuff and everything, because you had actually gotten spooked out there. That it was, you didn't feel comfortable necessarily going out to that place alone after something had happened. Is that something you might be willing to talk about a little bit? Do you even know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm trying to think of it.
It struck. I remember it struck odd because, he mentioned it. He was like, "Yeah, it was somewhere out there, and he'd been out for a day, or I guess you'd been out for 2 or 3 days, and you got spooked or something." And I don't know if it was that you had a game cam out there, or if you had left some camping equipment or something like that. But they thought it was odd that you actually requested, "Hey, you want to go out with me? I'd really like someone to go out with me to go out and get this," or something like that. And I really don't know much more than that. So,
if you feel
I think I know what.
sharing.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I can hear you.
Yeah, it was. We're talking about the same thing. Because I did ask him to go with me one time. Because I had a game cam set out in this one slough type. That's what I call it, a slough. I'm not sure exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take you out there one time, wherever in that area. We're together.
Slow
But,
Creek.
Was that?
Would it be a slow-moving creek or even almost like a muddy bayou?
Well, there's a creek by it. Well, actually, there's two creeks by it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more like a small pond.
Okay.
It was some kind of old structure there. The place is just really creepy, really weird.
It gives you the heebie-jeebie kind of vibe?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's hard to explain it, but when you're in there, it's... I don't know, maybe haunted or something. You get that feeling. It just really creeps you out.
Interesting.
I've had that feeling
But
before.
yeah.
So I know you're interested in the cryptid angle. What other are you interested in a paranormal aspect of the woods as well? Sometimes they say that the two go hand in hand.
Well, yeah, people say that. I don't.
Do you feel that?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I'm very interested in in paranormal because I've had a lot of paranormal experiences. I have had paranormal experiences in the woods while looking for other cryptids. I don't think they're related in any way. I think it's just coincidence that they happen in the same areas.
I'm kind of on the same page with you there.
That brings up a good question. Would you characterize yourself then as flesh and blood?
I can't see you moving. I can't see you're not close enough to the mic.
That brings up a good question. Would you consider yourself flesh and blood?
Flesh and blood. Oh, yes, very much so.
And so,
Yeah, I don't think there's no. I've never found any evidence that persuades me to think that they're anything other than flesh and blood.
so you've never had a Sasquatch get up and cloak right in front of you then, or anything like that?
No, as of yet, no.
I'm kind of in that boat with you, man. I'm just waiting for the day when it happens.
I've had people tell me that in my pictures there's cloaked Bigfoot. In my because I like to just take random pictures. Now, I'll often post them on Facebook or whatever. I'm sure you've seen them.
Yeah, and I've seen the people that pointed it out too, and all that.
Yeah,
I still don't understand what they're looking at.
Me neither. I actually got into an argument with a guy one time, and I mean, he was just getting on my nerves so bad with that. It was a picture of a flower. I think this was before I knew you. That I don't know. I believe it was. But it was a picture of a flower. Probably, the whole plant probably couldn't have been more than maybe 18 inches max tall. And he was swearing to me that there was a 20-foot invisible Bigfoot underneath that 18-inch plant. I was like, no, there's not.
That's a little bit extreme.
Right. He was arguing.
How did he think that it was going to fit? I mean, was this the TARDIS of Bigfoots here? I mean, was it bigger on the inside than it was on the outside? I mean,
I don't know. And the thing about it was, this is a picture of a flower I took in a city park. I'm like, dude, there is nothing there except for a flower, man. Maybe a couple bugs.
I'm assuming it was a little blurry.
Oh, no? I don't know.
Well, it takes all types. Sometimes, they do have good insights. But, yeah, that one's a little bit extreme.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, wow, dude. I mean, he was arguing with me about it. I'm like, dude, I took the picture. I know it's there.
You're bringing up stuff that you post and everything else, which I think actually gets us into a good segue into. You've got your own website and group. Do you care to talk about
Right.
that?
Want to plug it a little bit here?
Well, sure. Texas Unified Natural Research is my group. And the website is tunr.webs.com.
Okay.
And that's
What kind
where
of things do you have on the website?
I have, pictures and videos mostly. I try to put little articles on there when I have time to do it, and I haven't really posted anything on there in a while.
Shame.
Yeah, no, I just haven't had time. Been up to other things, and I don't keep up with it very often. But yeah, there's videos, pictures, little articles that I've written, stuff like that on there.
Fair enough.
And just
So go check it out, folks.
yeah.
Now I know you're fascinated with a majority of cryptids. It's not just Bigfoot. You find everything fascinating to an extent.
Right. Right.
You have a soft spot for is it the Philippines?
Oh yeah, the Philippines. Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit? Can you tell us a little bit about that cryptid out there that you have such an affinity for?
Oh, the coppery.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very interesting subject. There's other Bigfoot type cryptids in that area, but the coppery is it's Bigfoot-esque, I guess you could say. A lot of the earlier accounts and descriptions sound more like a Bigfoot.
So it's a cryptid of sorts.
A cryptid of sorts, yeah. And it's been, the whole description has been muddied over the centuries. So, it's research I've done. It started out as a Bigfoot creature. What we'd call Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whatever over there. And there's several other names for the actual Bigfoot type creatures over there, but this one started out in that manner. But over the centuries of different occupations from other countries, predominantly Spanish and like Spanish owned the country, I think, for about 200 years, something like that. Big influence on the culture and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tobacco revolution over there. So you got basically a tree spirit that sits up in the trees, kind of resembles a Bigfoot. But on the original, it resembled a Bigfoot. In the newer descriptions, it kind of, what you usually hear is like a large hairy man that wears a loincloth and smokes a cigar that sits up in big trees.
Is that a Cuban cigar, you think?
It could be Cuban.
Let me get this right. I just want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly. You really want to go out in the woods and hunt for a big hairy man wearing a loincloth and smoking a cigar.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
It's got to be a good cigar, man. Who wouldn't? Exactly.
Remind me off the air to tell you a story one of our mutual friends had in the woods one day while looking for a hairy man. Anyway.
That's funny.
Oh, my goodness.
So do you really want this creature to be discovered? Or do you think just looking for it is half the fun and you're done? Or do you know, without a doubt, because of your personal experience, that you're just reaffirming for yourself that it's out there?
No, I know that it's out there. I mean, I've seen them. I've had so many. I've had several sightings, many encounters with them. Heard them, smelled them. I mean, I know for a fact that they're there, that they do exist, and I know that they've already been discovered, per se. As far as going public with it, I think it would kind of have mixed emotions there. I mean, I think in a way it would be good, and in a way it would be bad. How I think that how the public would react to it,
Mm-hmm.
to it actually, becoming known species, is you'd have the extreme on one end, and then you'd have the extreme on the other end, and pretty much everybody in the center wouldn't care less.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think that's how I think it would happen.
But do you want it to happen, or do you think it's an eventuality? Or do you think it's just going to go on as it has for the last 100 or so years?
I think it's gonna happen eventually, one way or another. It's going to. I mean, you look at all these other cryptids that have been proven,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, there's the locals that talk about it for generations or whatever. Yet explorers that talk about it, everybody thinks they're crazy until boom, there it is. I think it's just similar. Right. It's going to be a similar thing with Bigfoot. There's enough people out there now looking for them.
Yeah, they can't all
Somebody's
be
going to. Exactly. They can't all be crazy. Somebody is going to. Somebody's going to bring one down and bring it in. If they can get it in. That's
right.
That's the thing.
That's my scary part is they like to, and I'm not sure of the correct terminology, but they travel in herds or family groups or clans. And if you get after one, if you get after one, you're going to meet the whole family.
Right. Yeah. If you get out alive with it, if you can even get it out, then you've got the government to worry about. And, chances of being able to keep it, or you're going to end up missing, or something's going to happen. There's so many things.
I'm gonna, Brandon, I want to interrupt you for 1 second because I'd like to reiterate something.
What's that?
There's a lot of people that I know find that the whole atmosphere of Texas to be a little weird, and the reason being is because in Texas, almost universally, most all of us researchers will talk about rather openly government interference.
Right.
And I'm not wanting to go into it specifically. That's a whole nother show, whole nother topic. But people think we're all on crack. And so I know you have experienced some before, but I'm going to back it up with my own. I'm going to say I have been detained and searched twice in 3 years.
Yep.
And I mean, we're not talking about a 5-minute, speeding ticket or anything. The last time I was pulled over in the middle of the woods, and I had my vehicle emptied and searched. And every second or third question was, "Are you out here looking for Bigfoot?" And that's what they were really curious about. That's what they wanted to know. I fully admit I lied my butt off. They probably knew. I mean, honestly, they caught me, I guess, as incriminating as it could be being a squatcher, because they caught me with about 10...
Wait. If you're a government official listening to this, please plug your ears for the following statements.
They caught me legitimately with about 10, maybe 15 pounds of plaster in the back seat of my car. And they were really wanting to know what I did with it. The irony of it was I actually had left it in the vehicle because a week or 2 weeks prior to that trip, I had a camping trip with our church boys group. And I was actually out there teaching the church boys how to cast tracks. And I just had never taken it out of my truck. And so I told the cops that, I did not bring Bigfoot up at all. It was the God's honest truth. I was out with church, taking care of the boys and teaching them how to do that. I did get a sideways glance or two. I had 6 officers in 3 SUVs, and they were detaining me on the side of the road. And it was for about 35 or 40 minutes while they searched the vehicle. They went through up and down. And like I said, every second or third question had something to do with Bigfoot. They wanted to know why I was there, what I knew, this and that. And I just played dumb because, to be perfectly honest, I didn't feel like it was any of their business. I felt it was an unnecessary and potentially illegal question on their part. But it's not a joke. Just about everybody we know out here has been stopped and questioned. Some of us have been told to get up and leave at times, or don't stay in this area. It's a real deal. And
it's frustrating, to say the least.
It's extraordinarily frustrating. I can't put Bigfoot stickers on my car. I want to so badly, but I can't really do it because if I do and I go to East Texas, I'm just inviting law enforcement to pull me over. And when we say law enforcement, we're not talking sheriffs. We're not talking local police. We're not anything else. We are specifically talking United States Forest Service, BLM, federal authorities. And it's a mystery. They don't act like this in other states that we know of. I certainly know in my own personal experience in Washington, even though that was 19 years ago now, they never. I mean, I was all over Skamania County and Mount St. Helens and Skookum Meadow and that whole region for almost 2 years. And I don't think I ever once saw federal law enforcement out there. One time I think I saw a ranger drive by, and I was in a national forest. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just
okay,
listening.
all righty. I just want to make sure we didn't lose you. But yeah,
no.
it's. I just want to let everybody know. For some reason in Texas, they don't like weirdos in their woods. And I think that's all it is. So, but yeah, I just wanted to say that I wanted to back you up there and just let everyone know you're not on crack. And there is a real thing there, and it's something we have to take into account. And it really seems, just not fair, because the truth of the matter is, we're the people that could really help. If they were after poachers, we're out there often enough. We catch poachers all the time.
Right.
They want to know illegal deer stands. We can do that.
We see the odd exchange of items occasionally.
Yes.
Too.
We're the eyes in the woods. And if it would get them off of us, I'm sure some of us would probably be more than willing to cooperate just to keep the woods safe. But instead, we are treated as the problem. and that is that's a shame. That's
It's
a real
discouraging.
It very much is. And so, just to all you listeners out there, there's a little bit of reality there that you never really think of, and when it slaps you in the face, it's kind of a rude awakening. And so,
Oh yes.
all right, now
Let's lighten the mood.
yeah,
a little bit.
let's lighten the mood up a little bit. Jennifer's got her little 20-question quiz here for you. Jen.
I've got a little game here called the Quick Cryptid Connection Query. I have a list of cryptids in front of me that I'm going to name off. And if you believe in them...
I just want to verify something here. You've got a new list, right?
I do not.
Oh,
So
man.
cut
okay.
that out.
All right.
So we're going to play the Quick Cryptid Connection. I've got a list of cryptids here. I want you to say yay if you believe in them, nay if you do not, and say what if you have never heard of it. And I've got some hidden gems in here. So let's get going. We've got the
Cool.
Ibu Gogo,
Yay.
Mongolian Deathworm,
Nay.
Megalodon,
Yay.
Black Shuck,
What was
Black Shuck,
it? Oh, no. Nay.
Caddy,
Yay.
Brownie,
Yay.
Mahamba,
Yay.
Kelpie,
Nay.
Zerutan,
Yay.
Griffin,
Yay.
Wampus Cat,
Yay.
Spring-Heeled Jack,
Nay.
Vampire,
Nay.
Patagonia Alien,
Yay.
Mothman,
Yay.
Congo Mato,
Yay.
Kraken,
Yay.
Okapi,
Yay.
Manito,
What?
Manito.
Manito. I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
Say what?
Say what?
Almost.
Yay.
Okay, so I've hidden some gems in here. The black shuck, by the way, that was one of your say whats. It's actually like one of those black hellhounds. It haunts the coastline of England.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
And
I know which one it is.
Yes.
I think it's something else though than what they say.
I bet you're right. Can you name the Bigfoot type cryptid that I put in the list? One of my hidden gems? Yes. And the other one is the Okapi. The Okapi. I apologize to our listeners because I did go and look up the pronunciations, but I'm not guaranteeing I'm copying them correctly. The Okapi.
Okapi. That's a giraffe.
It is. It's a type of giraffe, and it was presumed an imagined creature that people thought of in the 1800s. They didn't believe people's sightings of them because why would there be such a creature? It has horns and it's got stripes. It has two different pelt patterns on it. It's very odd looking.
Right. Often known as a short-necked giraffe.
Yes.
It looks like kind of like a mutant zebra.
Exactly.
It's what they remind me of.
So I tell you, back then, if someone said, listen what I saw and described it, I'd be like, yeah, what are you taking?
Right.
But yeah, it was a former cryptid, but it's now on the list of known cryptids.
Yep.
It's on the list of known species. is what you mean.
Species,
Yes, it's on the list of known cryptids as well because it was a former.
It's
cryptid.
a former cryptid, correct?
And it's in several zoos. They had one in the Houston Zoo at one time. I don't know if it's still there. It was there last time I went.
I think it's amazing how when that thing wasn't officially discovered that long ago, relatively, and they've managed to get so many in zoos. Makes you wonder if there's any left in the environment.
Yeah, really. Huh? Well, I think it was Vietnam, so there's quite a lot of space there.
This is true. This is very true.
Probably one reason why it took so long to be recognized.
Yeah. You had something, Jennifer?
Well, I was going to say, this is our new adventure as a team here, Stephen and myself, for doing the podcasting. And I've heard rumors that you have also done a podcast.
Yeah, I used to do one. Actually, I had to do two of them. I hosted one, and I co-hosted for another one. It's been quite a while though, but I'm thinking about. Well, I'm going to. I just haven't figured out when I'm going to do it yet. Bringing one of them back.
That's it.
So,
that's it. We have to assassinate this man. He's going to be competition. We have to have that now. You're ours.
Well, best of luck.
No competition.
Yeah, no competition. Hopefully, we have different objects in mind.
Now, Brandon, you mentioned, and again, this is our second take. So on the first take, you mentioned you're going to be down at the second annual South Texas Bigfoot Conference down in Huntsville on April 19th and 20th. And we're actually going to try to actually stay with you on that weekend. We'll be out in the field with you where you're at and everything. So if anybody wants to see you or if they want to see us or anything like that,
don't say
we'll be
like that
at
again.
the what?
You're saying and everything and anything.
You just jumped all over what I said. Now I've got to erase this whole thing.
That's okay, because I wasn't done with my podcast question. You jumped right in without in.
Oh, I thought you were done. I'm
No, I
sorry.
wasn't.
Oh, well, I'll shut up and let you go on, and then I'll hit this thing up later. Okay. Gosh.
I apologize, but sometimes my husband doesn't know my hand signals. So, with the podcast in mind that you've done, I would like to wish you the best of luck on that, and
thank you.
we can help each other out anytime.
Oh, for sure.
And
Definitely.
I lost where I was going with where I was going, so you go ahead and plug your.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna now I get to plug. Okay. Anyway, Brandon, I understand that you're going to be at the South Texas Bigfoot Conference here in Huntsville on April 19th and 20th.
Right.
You're going to be out in the field, but you're going to be at the conference too. We're actually going to join you in the field, and so God only knows, we may end up carpooling.
Awesome.
Hey, I've got a snazzy ride now. Let me tell you.
Anyway, I've seen it. It's pretty sweet.
Yes, you have. It hasn't changed much yet, but all of our money's going into this podcast. But anyway, if anybody wants to meet you or visit with you and everything else, they'll be able to do so at the conference. They can pull you aside and say hello. And also, I just want to make mention that Brandon was one of our founding members on Cryptid Connection, and he does have an account. He does have a group. He mentioned his Texas Unified Natural Research website. He also has a discussion group on Cryptid Connection where he cross-posts and put things up there as well. And so people would be able to find him there and converse with him. And remember, the nice thing about Cryptid Connection is it's not Facebook. It's not public. It's entirely private. And so
Right.
what goes into Cryptid Connection stays in Cryptid Connection. And with that, I think, Jennifer, do you have anything else you want to say?
Oh, lots, but there's not enough time for it.
I think we have held him up, a little bit here because
Yes.
we're pushing an hour. So, all right, Brandon, we appreciate it. Do you have anything else you'd like to say, sir?
Not that I can think of.
Fair enough. All right. We will talk to you later.
Good night, Brandon.
Hey, good night, guys.
Good night.
When he's aiming at the target in his head, and every broken man finds his idle hands grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about running, and I'll get out on the town just for myself. And that's when I saw her, and she looked right through me. And when I said I do that day, I really do. 'Cause every cowboy, he always misses his shot when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his idle hands grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about riding, and when I get the first draft back with no red ink, but I've been thinking to do my best work. Yeah, I've gotta leave this town to find my way. And when that plane touched down on that island town, I knew that my life's work was in their hands. So I started digging for wells of water, and I'm a hero in their eyes. It's clear to see. 'Cause every cowboy, he always misses his shot when he's aiming at the target in his head. And every broken man finds his idle hands grasping at tomorrow's promised land. And I've been thinking about the time that I have wasted sitting here. 'Cause I've been thinking that all this thinking is the thing that keeps me further from myself.